One thing when you're shopping for car insurance, you've got to realize that there's kind of what's called a hard market. So insurance agencies are fighting to keep the business more than they're fighting to gain new business. Now, there's different scenarios. So let's take the big, large companies like State Farm and Allstate and kind of Progressive, sort of. They're not really agents, so they're kind of out of that mix. But all of your large companies, so there's kind of a hard spot there where they're not looking for clients. Go to most State Farms, you're going to find that you can't even purchase a policy for about a week, right? So they're delaying policies on purpose to force people to shop ahead of time. Look at Nationwide, for example. They have what's called a pre-bind pause in most states, where you have to show proof of your registration, proof of this, proof of that, all of the things and documents before they'll let you even get a quote. So you don't even know if they're competitive, and you have to jump through all these hoops. They do that on purpose because two things. One, the price might be too good. So if the price is too good and they gotta slow down before they can make adjustments, that's one possibility. The other is that they can't handle the new business coming in at the rate that it's coming in. Partially because all of these companies all over are raising their rates, and because of that, people are shopping more, and they can't afford to take the wrong type of risk. Insurance companies are all different because they're looking for different clients. Now, don't get me wrong, there's the everyman brand, and that's essentially what my agency has designed around, is we have companies that are fits for different situations. That way, if you are high risk and you have a couple tickets, you have maybe an accident, then we've got a company that fits that. If you're more of the lower risk and you're looking for coverage as the main option, not so much trying to penny pinch, which is fine, there's both, there's nothing wrong with the people that do either, but if you're looking for that, we've got the fits for that too. Where most of these companies that are putting these pre-binds in and these holds on is they're trying to necessarily go towards that premium type account, as we call a standard and above, and not so much the higher risk type of clients. Now, in the market right now, the higher risk clients are actually starting to find that the high risk companies are a better fit for some of the people that aren't high risk. That's kind of a give and a take, because there are some pieces in these companies that you're losing out on when you're going from one to the other. Now you have your independent agents, who are the people like me and the local shop that has their name on the board. And those are the companies that are usually looking for specific clients. They're willing to market right now because we live and survive on growth. And if we don't grow X amount, if we don't have X type of clients, and we don't continually to go, as we lose clients, it hurts the business more so here than it does over here. It's also why you see these guys non-renewing people in certain states. That doesn't mean that the agents that work for these companies or the independent agents want to lose that type of business, because that's their income. That's what it's all built off of. So they're really trying to hold on to the type of clients that they have while trying to gain more. So Mark, why is that relevant? Well, here's why it's relevant. Because what you're starting to see in the hard market is a lot of these agents, we've just come across a few of these over the last couple of weeks, is a lot of these agents are becoming what I consider shady. They're starting to do some tactics to keep you on the books, to essentially trick people into staying with them. Now, that's not everybody. That's not independent specifically. That's not these large corporations. That's the specific type of person. That person or that agent is holding tightly. Now, don't get me wrong. Companies are changing the ways the policies are written. So you're noticing your house deductibles default at a higher deductible. They're trying to lower the premium by lowering the cost that you pay or the cost that they pay out. That's changing the pricing. That looks better in your eyes, but it's actually a worse policy than what you used to have before. They're cutting the coverages out, which is fine. If that's what you're looking for and trying to get the best price, then those are the first things you can start to do. Raise your deductibles, change the liability limits, look at different risks in different states that are going to make an impact. On top of it, they're trying to strong arm you into staying, saying that if you leave, you're going to lose X, Y, or Z, or you're not going to get your refund for weeks in advance. And that's not true. At least I've never seen a company give a refund to a policy 3 weeks out. That just doesn't make sense. That's one of the reasons that I'm saying to agents specifically, you better slow down on keeping the customers. It makes more sense to try to legitimately win a customer than it does to trick them into your agency. because that's just one more reason for them to leave you in the next 6 months, one more reason for them not to work with you now, because you're strong-arming somebody into staying with you or purchasing a policy. Now, I'm making this video mainly because I've seen this a lot more as far as the agents that I've been working with, and it's becoming a little bit of an issue. For the customer, you've got to be a little bit careful. This is unfortunately the part that you have to handle. And where I see customers fail the most is they don't want to deal with it. They just say, you know what, forget it, I'll just stay with you. When you're letting them do that, you're teaching them that that's okay to do. And yeah, they'll get caught eventually. The Department of Financial Services will catch up. The insurance for their commissioner for their state might get reported, and that's good. That's what they're supposed to be doing. If they are forcing people to stay or tricking people into insurance policies, it's just not right. It's not ethical. We literally go through ethical training every single year just to make sure that we are keeping up to date, and reminders that we are supposed to be ethical in this industry. There are a lot of rules and regulations in place that I know we want to skip and go around, and it cuts out time, it makes it easier. We already understand your situation half the time, and there are a lot of mistakes that can be made. There are times where I've made mistakes, but that's why we carry insurance for ourselves in case we make mistakes like that. Now, if they're purposely, strategically, or maliciously done, that's a different scenario. That's an agent not doing what they've promised to do for a client or for a company. They have to represent one, either or both, and try to do it ethically. I know this is a rant, and most of you are gonna be like, I don't need those, I just want to save money. Well, if you do, I put a link in the description below where you can do shopping with either our agency or agencies that I've worked with and seen in the past. Local, independent, some are exclusive depending on the state that you're in. So if you are shopping home, auto, or business insurance, or really any type of insurance, I'll put the link in the description below. So what do you really have to watch out for when you're shopping with an agent? One, well, how are they talking? Like, what's the path? Is this rush, 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 get off the phone? I know. It makes one sense for certain people. For example, if you're in the industry 12 plus years, you already probably know the situation. Once I can look up your house, once I know your scenario, I could kind of pick and choose what I think you're gonna do. And then we can get back on the phone and go over it to verify that I was accurate, right? So I personally do that. I'd say, great, what's your situation? Why are you shopping? When you're looking to move, what's more important to you? I wanna get a feel for you as a person and understand what your situations are. Do you care more about having the right coverage? If there's a claim, let's just say today we have a claim. Do you want to know that you're protected and you're willing to pay extra for that? Or do you want just to cut down these little pieces, not have these vanishing deductibles, things like that, to where you don't have all the extra coverages, but you're not paying for them either? So do we want a package, or do we want to just try to get the best price? And knowing that helps me decide or determine which is the route that we're going to go. No, we're always going to try to get the best price, but it's like finding that out. I can dive in and say, okay, this covers that. Here's what I would personally do. And then we hop on the phone and go over it. So that type of agent is really going to put you in the forefront of their mind, not just how do I get you in the door, get your wallet into my wallet and make money off of you. The other thing you've got to watch out for is when the service team, and I get it, we get backed up too. When the service team is backed up, it's how that attitude is projected. Right? So the biggest thing that we have after we've sold you a policy is the level of service that we can provide. Now, we're a smaller agency, so you're going to see that you may leave us a voicemail, but we make it a point to call you back as quick as possible, not ignore any issues, not ignore any problems. We give you direct numbers to the company in case we're not available. If you can't wait for our advice, then yeah, you can move forward to the next level. So your company's insurance agency should be built around that. If not, and you're calling them multiple times, you've called them 3 days in a row, they're not answering your phone call, one, make sure you're calling the right number. Send an email, try to figure out a way to connect to them. And at that point, it's kind of like, okay, they don't care. They just don't want my business. They're just looking for something easy and quick, throw some spaghetti against the wall and just hope it sticks. That's what a lot of agencies do. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of them are built. Again, one small thing to look out for is the level of service you're getting. The companies themselves have a service level versus the agency that you're with. Those are two separate pieces. When you look at an agency, an independent agent, they represent the company, but they also want to represent you as best they can as well, because their level of service to you matters more than the level of service from the major company that you're with. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not saying all major companies are trash. It's just that they're put in that place to try to smooth that over and be the best fit for you. That's also one thing you've got to remember is they don't control that world. So if there's a claim, if the pricing has gone up, if any of that has happened, that independent agent or that internal agent didn't do that. That was the company, right? So we can get frustrated. It gets to a point to where it's like, okay, I get it, I understand it, but let's see how can we fix it. Let's just kind of move to that next step and see if the agent has other options for me that might be beneficial. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you finding this to be truthful, or is this kind of like just a spewed out, like Mark's just an angry agent? I just would love to know your opinion on that. Those are things that are going to benefit you, though. Those are things that you should know when you're looking at an agency, what they're looking at, how they're handling the scenarios and the situation. The main thing that you personally have to watch out for when you shop, I get it, convenience is probably the number one factor that I see with everybody. They don't want to be on the phone call for an hour. They don't want to learn about all these coverages. They just want to know that they're protected. They want to know that they're getting the best price. And with these 20 to 30% increases, they don't feel like they are. And so they're trying to look at different options. The problem that you're going to run into is if you do this and you just jump out and start calling companies and not knowing, one, what your coverages are. So are we comparing apples to apples, or are we trading in our apples for mini apples? Are they reducing our coverages? Are they cutting out things? Are there pesticides in these apples? Apparently I'm an apple expert. But are we making changes that make sense? Because if that's the case, even if you're shopping with us, if you are with company A and we reduced all your coverages, why wouldn't you just reduce them with company A if you like that company? If you trust that agent, then look at them first and see if there's anything that they can do. Is there a telematics that we can start doing? Are there different discounts that we're missing? Things like that that could benefit you as far as your policy with your main company. If that's not the case, links in the description below. Start shopping around, feel if you'd like. But the other part is, okay, what can we reduce if you've already decided, I know what coverages I have or want, and I know what I want to reduce, and I don't really love the company I'm with anyways because they're not being proactive, whatever the scenario is. So I'm going to shop, but I will reduce some of these things to get that. I like to shop A to A, apples to apples, and then reduce. So it doesn't hurt to kind of compare and say, yeah, we were already $500 cheaper. Now we're $700 cheaper, but just so you know, we already were.